Hello class. In this video, I'm going to show you modeling and texturing this wooden barrel. As you can see on the body, the wooden area, it doesn't reflect any lights. Okay, and on the metal part, some of the parts it reflect lights and some part it doesn't reflect lights. So it involves with the different types of material and the texture maps. Alright, so let's move on to it. And we'll start with a cylinder. And we'll go to the channel box and go to the menu here. And for the inputs, here subdivision X, we'll put 30. So we have more subdivisions on this side. And for the height, let's see, we'll put, here, subdivision height. We'll put 2, so we have a subdivision in the center. Okay, then we'll go to object mode and scale it up and thicker and on this axis. Okay, so this will be the size of the wooden barrel. Okay, and then with the object mode, hold down Shift K and use mouse right key, click, and then we'll use the insert edge loop tool. So here we'll go to the option setting. So remember before we have used the relative distance from edge, in which you can add a edge loop anywhere. So now we'll use multiple edge loop tool, and here we'll do 1 for number of edge loop. Hit return key or enter key to confirm the change. So with the multiple edge loops with the equal multiplier, and we put a number here, it doesn't matter where you click, it'll add a edge loop in the center of this edge. So same thing here, as you can see, it'll add in the center, right? And then what I'll do is hit QK to quit, okay? And then go to the vertex mode and select the top and the bottom and hit R key for scale, and then use this plane so you can scale them down along the Z and the X. Okay, and then select this ring and this one and scale down a little bit. So this will be the main body of our barrel. Okay, if you want more resolution, here we can add more. Okay, so we can use the insert edge loop tool again, and here one, here, here, here. Okay, and we can select this one and here, and we can, scale it up a little bit so we have a nice curve at here. Okay, and then this one and this one, and then scale it up so we have a nice curve around here, and maybe for here and here we can scale it up a little bit more. Okay, so it is a rounded curve on the side. Alright, so we'll use this for the body, okay, which is the wood part of it. So now we'll create the ring, the metal ring on top and at here, okay, and bottom and bottom. Okay, so let's go to outliner. So I'll go to window and outliner. Here is the model. Okay, so we'll go to modify and freeze transformation and delete its history. So now we have clean history of it, and we'll make a duplication. So for the old one, we'll rename it as the wooden part, and here we'll say metal. Okay, and then we'll select the wooden part, and then we'll go to display height and height selection. Okay, so now this is the copy, and what I'll do is I will let's see, go to insert edge loop tool, insert one edge at here, okay, and one edge at here. Alright, and then hit QK to quit, and then oops, actually I want to add more. Insert edge loop tool here and one here and one here. So we want the model to be symmetry. Okay. All right. Hit QK to quit, and then go to face selection mode, and then delete the faces at here. Delete the faces at here. Okay. So we have the top two ring, and we'll also delete the faces at here, and then at here. Right. So the model is a symmetry. So we have these two and these two. And then we'll delete the faces on the top. So there's a two-way you can delete it. You can either go this way, select the whole thing, and then hold down Control, and then select the side to deselect the side faces and hit delete. You'll delete the top, or you can just go to the top view and select all of the faces from the center and hit delete. Alright, so now we only have these four, these four rings. Okay. And then what I'll do is select all of them, and then go to Edit Mesh and Extrude, and then here, let me clean up my window a little bit. I get a lot of windows. Okay, so for thickness, let's make it thicker. So something like a 0.2, let's see, maybe 0.3. Should be good. Okay, and then go to object mode, and then remember, since we have done a lot of things here and also extrude this stuff, so I'll just freeze transformation and delete by type, delete history. Alright, so now I can go back to outliner, here is it, and bring back the wooden part, and this is how it looks. So we have these four rings, and this will be the metal material, and here it will be the wood material. Okay, so next step we'll talk about UV mapping. Okay, so we'll hide the metal area, and we'll select the wood area. Okay, so this will be easy to do since we have started this part with a cylinder, right? So by default, the cylinder shape already has a clean UV. So if you go to UV editor, here's it. As you can see, by default, when you create, let's say you can, if you create any of the cylinder, by default, the UV is very clean. It has the body, the side faces, and the top and the bottom. Okay, like this. And for this one, oops, I'll just delete it. And for this one, since we started from a cylinder, so it still keep the UV like how it looks. So now, as you can see, since we have deformed the shape, so definitely the UV is not correct. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll select all the side faces. Okay, move it to the side. Okay, and the top and the bottom, since we haven't changed anything on them, so it's still a circle. Okay, so that's fine. However, for the side faces, as you can see, the shape is a little bit more complex. So what I'll do is this white edge, as you can see, this white edge, it is the same of this UV shell. Okay, what I want to do is I want to cut in the center, which is something around here. Here's it. So that is from another side, right? Go from all the way here. So that is from another side. So I want to cut it because if I have this whole thing as one piece and when unfolded, it's super hard to get the correct proportion. So it will be wise to cut it into two pieces, and then when you flatten it on this plane, you'll have less distortion on them. So select this whole line, this whole edge. You can either do what I did, find the center edge, here and double click, select this whole line, or you can just go from here. See, this is one side and then goes here. Okay, so select this edge and then hold on Shift and double click on the bottom edge. So you'll select this whole edge, and then here in UV editor, hold on Shift and right click and cut. So that will cut this UV shell into two pieces, right? So now you can right click and go to UV and double click on this whole shell, and then you can move this piece outside. Okay, so now the next step, we'll do something called unfold. As I said, right now the UV shell, it doesn't reflect the real proportion, right? So as you can see here, each of the faces is supposed to be wider, and here the width, it should be narrowed down. So here it should be squished, and here it should be expanded. Okay, so I'll do something called unfold, but before I do that, again, I do this a lot of times. So I'll select it and freeze transformation and delete its history. Okay, because sometimes when you have a lot of history on the model, and when you apply some functions like unfold, it'll not reflect the best result. That's why I keep doing it. Alright, so now I'll switch back to UV selection mode, select this whole shell, and then hold down Shift K and mouse right key, and go to unfold, and unfold again, and go to its the tool settings. So here for the options, well, instead of use local solver, we'll switch it to global solver, and click on apply. This is the result. Okay, and this should reflect the real proportion of each face. And if one time is not enough, as you can see here, it goes down, and here is not exactly down, so it's not exactly symmetry. So we can select them and apply it again, and I can even move it to this side and hit R key to rotate and rotate. Okay, and then hit W key to move it, and then select one side, one half of it, and apply it more times, and then select the whole thing and apply more times. Okay, same thing for this one, apply it, and then select half, apply, and the whole thing, apply. So that will get close to the final result. As you can see, all of the faces are fully extended. Okay, so now we can get these two faces closer together. So these pieces, these side pieces, they are flattened, and we know all of the faces is flattened, and we don't have any distortion on any of the face. Okay, so now we can grab these two circle, select both of them, and then we'll need to scale them down to match the scale of the side face. As you know, this cylinder, this circle is supposed to be connected to this edge, right? So this edge should equal to one of these edge. So that is a good reference. And I'll hit R key here. It's auto frame. So I'll hit R key to scale it down, and then bring it here, and I can use it as a reference. So that is close, very close. And then I'll just leave it here. So that is the body. And as I mentioned in the last lesson, you need to place all of your texture map inside of this cell, which is from 0 to 1, 0 to 1 on X and Y. Because when you apply texture, the texture will only apply to this cell. Okay. However, since we are still working on the different parts of it, we'll temporarily place it out of the frame, so we can leave this place as a working area for the metal part. Alright, so I'll go back to object mode, and I'll switch to outliner and show this area, and I will hide the wooden area. Okay, so here comes the question. Okay, as you can see, it's a symmetry, right? The top part and bottom part is symmetry compared to the center point. So instead of doing the UV mapping for all of the 4 pieces, what I can do is I can just delete the bottom 2 and just focus on these 2. And once I did the UV mapping for them, I can just duplicate them and flip it to the other side. So I'll have them back. Alright, so that's the idea. So I'll just go back to face selection mode and delete the bottom part. Alright, so now go back to object mode, select this whole thing, and go to UV editor. So this is how the UV looks initially. Okay, nothing impressive. So what I'll do is first, as you can see, let me press F key to lock my view on them. So first, as you can see, each of this ring has top face and bottom face, and the top face, the bottom face is aiming to the y-axis, right? So if I create a camera and looking down from y-axis, and I can get this full ring without any distortion, the top and the bottom part. Okay, so that's to say I will go to face selection mode, select all faces, and then hold down Control and deselect the side faces here. Okay, and deselect the hold on Control again, deselect the side faces here. So in the end, I will only have the top, the bottom, top, bottom remain selected. Okay, and then if I go to UV and if I go to planar and go to its option, the tool settings, and if I choose project from the Y, if I look down from the y-axis, right, and then project, and I should have, you know, this ring captured. Okay, I forgot one thing, so let me go back. Okay, make sure all of my faces still remain selected. So as you apply it, sometimes it's matter, sometimes it's not, but it's better for me to mention it. Make sure you check on keep image width and height ratio. Okay, otherwise when you project it, sometimes, you know, it'll shrink your projection, you know, the y-axis will be longer than x, so you want to keep the proportion. Okay, so that's why, you know, keep image width and height ratio and project. Here is it, so it is a circle, right? And I can move it to the side, so I have this center area that is for the body. Okay, so now let's see, your interface might be a little bit different. As you can see, mine is colored, right? Yours is not. If yours don't have colored view, so maybe you don't have the shaded checked on. Okay, you only check it on wireframe. So you can just go to the shaded, and you'll check on the color for all the UVs. So why some of the UV shows red color, some of the faces showing red blue color. Just remember this: if your UV is showing in blue color here, in blue color, it means your UV is correct, is good. If it is showing in red color, that means all the faces inverted, so the face is upside down. The reason why here is in red is because, for example, here, see, it's the bottom face, right? So when I project the UV from the Y, see, if I'm looking down, this face definitely is a positive side, right? And this bottom face is negative side, so that's why it's showing in red, because it projected the negative side of the face. So what I'll do is very simple. So just in face selection mode, select all of the faces and go to modify and flip. So by doing that, we just flipped it upside down, so we get the positive side to the front. Same thing here, select it, go to modify and flip. Okay, another thing is, if you ever have your UV like this showing in dark blue color, and if I have more, see, super dark blue color, so that means your UV has overlaps, and you don't want them to overlap, right? Because if you have texture maps, for example, here if I see, you know, 3D modeling, I have the text, and this text, the D letter will show on this face, on these faces, and also on these faces. So it'll it's the same letter, same texture, it'll show on different faces, you know. So you don't want that happen. That's why we want to make sure they don't have any overlap. Okay, so that is the top and bottom face. And for the side face, what I'll do is I'll select all of them, and here I can do a cylindrical projection mapping method, as I showed you in last class, right? So when you create a cylindrical mapping method, you will have something to surround this whole side face, and I'll extract it with you know, all the faces and flatten them. However, here I'll try a different method. Okay, so I like to use the planar mapping, so I'll use them all the time. So here I'll go to UV and planar and go to option box. So instead of a Y, this time I want to project it from the Z axis, which is the front. Okay, so I want to look from the front side Okay, so the result will be, make sure you check on keep image ratio. The result will be, since you are looking from this side, and you have both the front and back and inner side, overlap together. But that's totally okay. All right. So what I'll do is go to UV and double click on here. So this is, as you can see, this is the outside face. I'll move it up, and let me grab it in here, and double click on here and move it up. So this is also the outside face, which is, the bottom ring. Okay, and then I will go to the edge selection mode. Okay, and select the side edge, which is this edge. Okay, it's easier if you just select it on the UV editor, and it's supposed to be here. Okay, see, this is the z-axis, right? And I'm selecting the edge, which is on x-axis, which is on the side. So you can either select it from here or from here. So I'll select this one, this one. Okay, make sure to select the correct edge, and this one and this one. And if I go to the model, it is this edge from outside, and the inner side. As you can see, this one. Okay, select those four. So what I'll do is I'll cut it, from the edge, because if I don't cut it, this whole ring is connected together, and there's no way for me to unfold it to a 2D piece, right? They are all connected. So I have to cut from one side, and then I can unfold it. So hold on Shift and mouse right key and cut. Okay, and then you can see that this line, it comes border. That means it's a edge. All right, then we can go to UV, select all of them, and then hold on Shift and use mouse right key and go to unfold and go to its tool setting, and again we'll use global solver and apply. It'll take a few seconds. Here we go. So now we have unfolded everything, right? And it has this correct proportion. So this is the outside. So I will place the outside here, and inside face. And then let's rotate, hit R key, actually E key to rotate it. Okay, and align them. So E key, rotate. So this is outside ring, and this is also outside ring, and this is inside faces. And I'll also align it. Okay, and this one, and we'll also rotate and align it here. Okay, so now we get all four of them. Oops, make sure you don't not select those vertices. So double click here, hold on Shift, double click, double click, double click. So now we select these pieces, and then we'll change the scale. As you can see, this edge, the top edge, is supposed to be connected to here, right? Here is it. Should be connected to here. So that means this edge should be equal to this edge, the length. Let's see if they are the same. Very close, right? Very close. But however, we'll just scale it down a little bit. Okay, now it's accurate. Now I'll just place it here. So that is a 40 ring. Okay, and we know now it's super big, and we have to scale it down a little bit. Place it here. All right, and then we can go to object mode, select its whole thing, and modify and freeze transformation, and delete its history. All right, and we'll go back and show the wooden part and select both these two parts. Now what we'll do is we'll do something it's called layer out, and we're going to place everything inside of this cell. Okay, in last class I said there's something you can apply to automatically place everything inside of this cell. However, as I said, so sometimes the machine does not do a very good job, and it's better to do it manually. So here, let me show you the automatic way. If you select all of them and go to modify and apply a layer all, see, this is the result. It does a good job to place everything in here and make sure they are not overlap. However, the issue is it is not utilizing all of the spaces very well. As you can see, it wastes a lot of space, and that's not what I want. So I'll Command Z, go back, and I'll manually place them. So here, first thing I have to worry about is the wooden area, since it has the majority of the space, right? So I will place that in, and I can make it bigger, something like that. Okay, and then place this part in. So now we have to reference the scale. So as you can see, this edge, which is supposed to be here, this edge, the third edge, it should be equal to here, this edge, which is the second ring, right? So now we know the scale, and we can compare. So this edge, and this edge is supposed to be equal to that edge, so we can scale it down and see very close. All right, so that's the scale relationship, and we can place it in here, and then you can see that we have plenty of space, right? Okay, so we can select this whole thing and scale it up, and as you can see, I'm getting the point that for the y-axis is good, it's just enough, but these two is out of the space. So instead of placing it here, I can just move it up and place it to the side. Okay, should be good. And maybe move this up a little bit. Let's see. Okay, move it up. And as I said, it's better to leave some space between the borderline and your UV shell, because later on when you do bump mapping, normal mapping, if they are getting too close, you're going to have issue. Okay, so here, let me select all this piece and hold down Command and right key and to UV shell here. So you'll select all of the UVs on the object I selected, and I have to move it down a little bit to leave some space here. Okay, so now we've done the UV part. Okay, and I'll go to object mode, and okay, that's the step. Actually, I forgot to flip it to the bottom side. So I'll select this part, which is here, metal part. Hit Command D to make a duplication, and as you can see, the pivot point is still at the center of the world, which is great. So that means if I go to the scale Y, right, scale Y, and if I flip it along scale Y, the axis, Y-axis, and it'll be on this side. So if I place it as a -1 as a scale Y and hit return key, which is enter key, okay, it'll be flipped to here. And again, remember to select all of the pieces, especially this one, since the scale is -1. It's not supposed to be like that. Okay, so we have to select everything and modify and freeze transformation and add it and delete its history. Now, as you can see, if I select this piece, it turned in red color. Why does that happen? So this is UV. Okay, because I just flipped it to here. I changed the scale to -1, right? And then I freeze this transformation. So basically, it will flip its UV. So now the negative phase is up, okay, and positive phase is down. So that means, the UV is upside down. What we'll do is just, select all the faces here, okay, and go to modify and flip. We're done. Okay. Oops. Accidentally go Command Z to go back up. Okay, so flip it and we'll be done. And Let's see if I go to object mode and select everything, right? The UV is good. So here and here the UVs are overlapped, which is good. I will not worry about it because you know, they have the same texture. And however, if you want some difference on the top and the bottom, you can just reposition them, you know, and separate them. So you have the difference on the texture on the top rings and the bottom rings. All right. So once you have finished this, what I'll do is I will export the UV. So select the whole thing, and then go to image, and go to UV snapshot, and we'll save it as a UV map. So here I make sure the size X and Y, I would choose a 24:8, so I have a high resolution UV reference as a reference for me to start with the texture. And image format, I will use a PNG and edge color as black, so it will draw the UV with a black edge line, the black edge, and the background will be transparent. Okay, so that would be a good step for me to start. So I'll just apply and close, and then let me show you what I have for the UV. So let me grab it from here. All right. So this is the UV. As you can see, this is the image dimension. And if I open it, it's a PNG image, right? It has this beautiful line. This is the UV, and here the background is transparent. And I also get these 3 texture maps. Okay, iron. One is with a rusty texture, and another iron texture, and a wood texture. Okay, so in the next video, I'm going to show you how to bring this texture onto our model and how to create different material. And we'll talk about different type of maps, like a diffuse map, bump map, normal map, and reflection map.